So what do? Well, if this is your case, you got to make an enemy of the crazy skeptics.
For those skeptics who refuse to believe the Recovery Act has done any good,
look me in the eye.
Continue to insist that the bill didn't work.
Yeah, that's me. No, look.
I'd ask you to take that argument up with Blake and his employees.
With who?
Take that argument up with Chuck and his construction workers.
Chuck, call me. Blake, call me. Here's who I'm talking to. A group of American people that I didn't handpick as a background of a photo op. Who the hell is Chuck and Blake? Oh, we got two guys over here. As I told you before, according to a New York Times CBS News poll, 6% believe the stimulus package has worked and created jobs. 6%. 6. I assume Blake and Chuck are part of it. Here's Blake, here's Chuck. We just pointed out that's slightly less than the amount of people that think Elvis is alive. It's also equal to the percentage of people who think we didn't actually land on the moon. So, when you can safely clear the gigantic hurdle of the support level of the moon landing conspiracy moon bats, then maybe you can start claiming success. Until then, February 17th isn't a birthday to celebrate, Mr. President. It's another step towards an economic funeral. Americans should take their dogs out, listen to them, maybe dress in black, and start to mourn for their country. Back in a minute.
Texas takes a stand against the Environmental Protection Agency. Next.
Thinking about being in the Westminster Dog Show next year. All right. Tonight we actually have some good news for you. Sure, don't get me wrong, don't forget. Communists have infested every nook and cranny of Washington, and we're on the brink of economic apocalypse. By the way, don't let anybody at the Huffington Post know that I was joking there. Don't do it, just our little secret. Glimmers of hope do exist. We told you a few months ago that Montana is setting up a battle with the federal government over guns and state rights. There are 3 other states now that are also fighting with the federal government. I want to show you Utah first. Utah is taking steps now to reclaim the land grab by the federal government, especially the 1.7 million acres of coal-rich land Bill Clinton seized in 1996 through eminent domain legislation. By the way, George W. Bush didn't do anything to help Utah out when he was elected. Now, guess how much federal land the government owns in Utah? You ready? Let me show you this. Imagine this is your state. 20%. Yeah, that's not 20. How about 30%? Yeah, no. Federal government owns, you ready? Take it. 60% of the state. The federal government. Utah is making the case now that it inhibits their tax revenue, hinders funding for public schools, and opening the land could bring the state in an estimated $50 billion just for their school trust revenue. Utah is following now Montana, sparking a legal fight with the federal government. Utah believes that this case is going to result in the state being allowed to develop their parcels of land. Now, does this mean that Utah is anti-government? No. Does it mean I'm anti-government? No. You remember our circle over here? Remember I showed you this? And this one especially, this is Deborah Medina. She's running for governor of Texas. She was on my show, on my radio program, and I'm in trouble with everybody in Texas because she really didn't have a no for Are You a 9/11 Truther. Put her up here earlier. But this woman actually is all about states' rights, all about property rights. She's actually, she's down here on, I'm with her on this. These are the anarchists up here. What does it mean? Well, it means that the states and the people are beginning to look to restore their power to where it rightfully belongs. The Constitution puts limits on power of the federal government for a reason. I happen to believe that the founders showed great wisdom in that. In just a couple of minutes, I want to show you other states that are trying to reclaim their rights because the people are waking up. Back in a minute. Bill of Rights, this Constitution. These are the Big Ten. Okay, this is where our founders sat down. You got a right to free speech. You can bear arms. Yada yada yada. I want to focus on these two right here. No government had ever done this before. The Ninth Amendment, the rights retained by the people, which means we just want you to know we got top 10 rights here. And we're going to tell you about these rights, but we want you to know you don't get the rights from us. You don't get them from the government. You get them from God. You have more rights than are found in this document, and you hold them. You don't get them from us. That is critical to understand the Ninth Amendment. Any other rights? The states have rights. Anything that is not specifically mentioned here or in the Constitution, the states have that right. Got it? It's important to understand that. You have additional rights, and anything that's not mentioned here, the states also have it. Now, the government is starting to grow, and several states are starting to fight back. The 10th Amendment. We told you about this months ago in Montana. We just told you about it in Utah. But now Texas and Virginia and Alabama have jumped into the action. Virginia is taking a preemptive shot at any potential national health care legislation. A bill is already passed the Virginia House, which is controlled by the Republicans, and passed the Senate, which is controlled by the Democrats. The Virginia bill would make it the first state to enact legislation to exempt the state from any national health care mandates. Let me show you how many states have similar forms of this. Two-thirds. Two-thirds. All these states are passing the same kind of thing. Some of them, many of them, in fact, are constitutional amendments. All of this from a state that Barack Obama supposedly converted to blue just a year ago. How quickly they've turned back. Then we go to Texas. There's another fight happening in Texas now. And this one is brewing over the new EPA decision, the greenhouse gas that are public health threats. On Tuesday, Texas and several national industry groups filed separate petitions in federal court challenging the federal government's authority to regulate U.S. greenhouse gas emissions. Virginia, Alabama also filed the petitions in federal court. Now, I suppose the left-wing nut jobs on a cable network that nobody watches will start jumping up and down and start screaming about how this is encouraging or leading to secession or some sort of nonsense like that. Let them scream, because, as I see it, if a tree screams in the forest and nobody's there to see it scream or read its dramatic readings, does it really make any noise? No, I don't think so. Instead, let's look specifically at the 10th Amendment. What does this all mean? Let me bring it up here. The powers not delegated to the United States by the Constitution, nor prohibited by it to the states, are reserved to the states, respectively, or to the people. Got it? If it's not in this document, doesn't matter. There's no provisions for national health care. You can't take the state land. You can't impose crippling regulations on states over exhaled gas. It would seem Montana, Texas, Virginia, and Utah, and Alabama are within their rights if you go by the Constitution. If California had stood up for itself years ago, maybe it wouldn't be on the brink of disaster today. We'll be right back. I hope to be coming near you, to a city near you. We have the American Revival. It is, it's a great program, full day, you and me, just kind of learning everything we need to know about the country, faith, hope, and charity. Don't miss it. March 27th in Orlando, April 10th in Phoenix, Arizona. Check it all out at glennbeck.com. Tickets available at Ticketmaster. From New York, good night, America.